Well, as our friend Bob Ross says, there are no mistakes, merely happy accidents. And if you've made a happy accident and landed down this rabbit hole, you've come to our own special place of the universe, traveling through time and space to arrive. Where are we at? Well, we're right here. And what time is it, my friends? It is right now, and you're in the world of fishing without bait, a lifetime without definitive expectations, the land of full impact mindfulness, exploding into your world with color, helping you live your life out loud. These are challenge podcasts, and we're going to challenge you today. And today we're joined by our new friend, Jason Marcieski. Jason, welcome to the studios.
Yeah, thank you for having me here, Jim.
And as our viewers and possible fans might know, we have explored the traditional mindfulness podcast. However, actually, and please don't be offended out there, we found this a bit boring, and we're more interested in helping people fully impact their lives, identify their authentic self, and connect the dots to that individual. Because most of all, the person that you've been waiting for all your life mostly turns out to be yourself. So, could you share with us a little bit about your background? Everybody was hatched somewhere, and everybody, their past propels them to the present.
Sure. Well, my background starts in Elizabeth, Pennsylvania. That's where I was born, and ended up going to school in Philadelphia, Temple University, and afterward went out to Los Angeles because I was hoping to be a film director of all things. Which really was a wonderful period of my life because it opened me up to really just new people, a different atmosphere, and a variety of other things that really I find useful today. I ended up getting into financial services, of all things.
Could I stop you just for a moment?
Sure.
You went to Temple University. You moved out to Los Angeles to hopefully become a film director. However, you ended up in the world of finance.
Well, things didn't go so well in Los Angeles, and I came back home with my tail between my legs. No, not really, but I met who is now my wife, and I said to myself, "Well, we have a child coming, so I guess I need a real job."
It's just a shame that the folks at the electric company, you can't put enough best wishes and good intentions in an envelope to pay the electric bill.
So true, so true. Nor will your art film garner much attention.
So what we try to help people understand is sometimes we'll do a little thing called which end of the horse are you looking at, okay? And what we help people understand is the horse doesn't move. Only you can move. And generally, what we help people understand is that they find out things that don't work. And once we find out things that don't work, we help people make wise mind choices
Sure.
and avoid going
Sure.
back there.
And at that point, the Morgan Stanley, the financial firm, they were hiring for a financial services individual, and I went down and used some of my production skills and landed the job. And next thing you know, I thought to I was saying to myself, you know what, this will be temporary. I'll just do this for a little bit, and I'm going to continue to make my films, and this will pass. But it ended up turning into a 13, 14-year career, and I ended up working for a large bank in the area for that time period.
Okay, so during this time, you had a romantic interest, you had a child, and with everything that goes along with that also, which means that you develop certain obligations.
Sure. But since I can remember, in my life, and it wasn't just the career, it always seemed like there was something missing.
Good.
And it was an odd feeling. And so I always was searching. And, that searching went beyond, a financial concern or a financial goal or something that was success oriented. It was more in regard to life, that big question, who am I and why am I here? That kind of thing. And, through that searching, I dived into a lot of different reading materials, even some arcane stuff, a lot of spiritual teachers, different religions, and so forth. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't sure why I was always doing this, but it was just a genuine interest. In fact, it was like my hobby. Some people would go home and maybe do some woodworking or what have you, or paint. I was looking stuff up online. I was buying books. I was going on silent retreats. I was trying to speak with the quote unquote spiritual gurus at that particular location, to really just try to get a gist of, hey, what's going on here? Why am I like this? And so on and so forth. And yeah, and I did this while I was working as a financial advisor. Toward the end of my career in financial services, I ended up getting a rather nasty health problem. It's a rare muscular condition. And I remember one day, basically, going in the morning to the bank like any other, and I had actually a client come in. We went over their portfolio, and I kind of blacked out. And the next thing you know, I'm on the floor in the middle of the bank. I can't move, and my body's just completely locked up, and I'm being carted away in an ambulance. And when I came to, I had a colleague next to me, and I basically said, what the heck happened? And he said, well, I thought maybe you had a heart attack or something. You stood up and you went into the middle of the floor and you just collapsed. And after 15 days in the hospital, roughly, with a barrage of tests, they came back with, oh, well, you have this, you have X, Y, Z. They weren't very sure what I had, and which made it even more difficult, because it was, to be honest, rather painful and disheartening that here I am all of a sudden, out of nowhere, dealing with this, and really the world came crashing down.
So you're telling us that what we help people understand is to expect the unexpected. However, no one can prepare for a bee sting.
Correct.
No one can prepare for, see, gee, today might be the day I collapse on the floor.
Right.
We truly believe that really a whole lot doesn't happen by mistake, okay? And perhaps looking at just the beginning of your story, it looks like there isn't, and I don't believe in luck myself. I believe that you prepare yourself to succeed. So somehow that creative self of yourself, and what I'm hearing is that you weren't comfortable in the box. There was always some type of yearning. There was always something. Well, what's beyond? There has to be something else. There has to be something going on.
Yeah, so at that point, I did continue on in that work as a financial advisor for a few more years, because this basically happened around 2010. So I've had this condition now for 8 years, and then it was roughly around 2013. I found myself just saying, you know what, well, let's just backtrack just a little bit. When that happened to me. I went back to that question, who am I? I went back to those things that for me really mattered. And I sought comfort really initially in it. I thought, maybe this can help me. Doctors aren't giving me the answer. Now I'm in this position which is questionable. I may, have to change careers and so forth. So I really sought out those questions on an even deeper level, and I began meditating a lot more than I used to. So we're talking just a daily meditation, just sitting, going inward, and just diving deep and really looking for some answers. And it's not that I got answers, but what I did get was an awareness of the situation, of the present moment. And I viewed it from the standpoint of just, again, with a different attention, with a different awareness than piling on fear, piling on how can I get rid of this pain, piling on, well, maybe I should have done things differently. Maybe it was this that caused this. And then also the fear of the future. Well, what if I lose my job? What's going to happen financially? And so on and so forth. And really all that was doing was compounding the pain, compounding the issues, compounding the anxiety. It wasn't helping at all. And what I found through meditation and just sitting silently in the present moment was, hey, here's the truth. Here's the situation. Here's the ailment that you have. But you know what? It's not that. It's not what you think it is. And here's how maybe you can deal with it in a way that's positive, in a way that's productive.
Fear is a fundamental emotion, Jason, that we often deal with on this show. And we do a lot of time travel. We help people avoid time traveling. Most people have frequent flyer miles to the past and the future with brief layovers in the present. Okay. So, what we try to do is help people refocus and stay in that present moment. Where am I at? I'm right here and it's right now. And there's one of our favorite fellows at Georgia Dare had a quote that says, "Everything that you want is on the other side of fear." Okay. And all courage is the ability to deal with fear. And what you were talking about was you had to reevaluate. What we help people understand is, okay, what's important? Let's try to get rid of the tentacles of life. And quite often, Jason, what we talk about is to help. We talk about this frequently, but do you know how monkeys are trapped?
No.
Okay, that's humane. Okay, but they do is they make a mesh cage. Okay, and they cut a hole in it just big enough for the monkey to stick their hand in.
Hmm.
And inside of the mesh cage, they put some type of a doodad, trinket, food, whatever that the monkey desires. Well, when the monkey puts their hand in and grasps it, they can't pull their hand out. Okay,
Hmm.
so in the same way, what we try to do, we ask people to take maybe a larger mason jar, put their hand in, pull it out. However, then we ask them to put some rocks in there about things that they're holding on to in their life: jealousy, resentment, anger, fear, material goods, whatever. And for each one of those, we have them drop a rock in there and ask them to put their hand in and then grasp all those things. And then they can't pull their hand out and they're trapped.
Mm.
And then we help people identify. We often talk about dropping the rock.
Right.
Okay, so they can become free. We're a big believer in helping making conscious choices, okay? And we believe that everything in life's a choice, and we help people replace the vocabulary in their head rather than the haves and the haves, to, must, to choices. I could, I choose. And it sounds like you were well on your way to that.
Yeah, I think I was, and in fact, I know I was, because here I am today. It was truly transformative, and it's not something that happened overnight. I mean, it did take some initial moments of, is this really going to work? Is this going to help me, and so forth, and you know what? That's that excess baggage. That's that layer that's upon us, that's been programmed into us from inception, throughout our lives. Those are the things that we have to dismantle, we have to break through, because at the core of our being is something so amazing. It's so beautiful. And you touched on it at the beginning of this podcast, that what you're searching for is already there. It's already here, and that's exactly what I experienced. But it took some time to get through those layers, and I think that's where sometimes people give up. I talk to customers and clients of mine, and they say, you know what, I just get frustrated, and I give up. This meditation stuff isn't working for me. And I say, just stay in there. And I also ask, well, why is that? And they bring up those things, and it's just that excess baggage. It's those layers that have just been plastered upon them. And meditation is that hammer, that gradually chips away, but then just crashes it away and just clumps it away. And the next thing you know, you're standing there resplendent and made new, with a new sense of awareness, a new mindset. You look down and there's all the crumbling pieces of concrete that you basically came out of. After that point, after really diving in and meditating, I decided, you know what? Yeah, it's time for a change. And
you decided. You spoke to yourself.
I spoke to myself. Yes. And you know what? It was becoming more aware of the situation, of the present moment.
Say more about that, please.
Yeah. Again, it was once those layers were removed, and I could see myself in its true form. I saw myself as I really am, which is one and all with everything else and so forth. At the time I was diving into some Advaita Vedanta and Ramana Maharshi, and those questions of I am and ego getting in the way. Really beautiful stuff, beautiful texts. And it was at that moment I said, this is not really what I want to do. I want to do something more.
please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of Fishing Without Bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.